Remember when you were young and everything in life seemed so much more fun and the possibilities seemed endless? Is that still the same for you, or has life become a serious business? Wherever you are, you can change it. What if more magic, fun, and possibilities were available to you right here, right now? Join Laura and Alun in the playground of possibility as they play, laugh, and explore new ways you can use to make your life more fun and to create more of what you desire.
Hello and welcome to the Playground of Possibilities with myself, Laura Borland, with my lovely playmate, Alun Jones.
Hello. I was going to sing even,
Well,
but I decided not to.
Great, good decision. Move on swiftly. And our very lovely guest, Fiona Cutts. Thank you, Fiona, for being with us on this show.
It's a complete pleasure. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. So let me just tell our listeners a little bit about you, Fiona, and then we're just going to dive right into it and see where we get to. So Fiona is an active consciousness certified facilitator and energy healer who facilitates individuals and groups to move from poor health, low mood, fear-based living to energy, joy and vitality. It's really hard not to sing this. Fiona knows from personal experience the misery of... I'm being serious, people. Get with it. Fiona knows from personal experience the misery of fatigue and low mood, having suffered with the debilitating condition chronic fatigue syndrome for 7 years. Access consciousness and the energy healing have transformed her life. She is now experiencing more joy, more fun, more energy, more vitality, more possibility than ever before, and she loves her work and empowers to do the same. Awesome. How does it get better than that?
Yes, indeed.
So, tell us, Alun, what are we talking about today?
So, today, what we're going to be talking about is, the question that kind of came to all of us at the beginning was, what if yours is the voice the world has been waiting for? And so, how do you express yourself to the world? What if your voice is not just the sounds you make from your throat? Have you noticed how very small children don't seem to have any fear at all about expressing themselves, what they want, how they want to play? And, if you think back as well about a baby, does a baby worry that, when it wants something, it just cries? If it's hungry, if it needs nappy changing, if it wants its attention or nurturing, it will just cry. It will let you know. It just expresses itself. And how often, this one always makes me giggle, how often do you notice children unashamedly saying all the things that everyone else is thinking but doesn't express?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with that is, how often do children like to, what many people would call show off their talents and abilities? So it was just magical. I remember as a child, it was very magical to just play, to contribute, and to share the voice, and whatever that came out to be, exactly how I wanted to express it. And I know that was the same for many other people. So how often are those very capacities and willingness to express, contribute, and share with the world shut down for us for whatever reason? And where have you, everyone who's listening to this, where have you and how much have you shut down your potency because you've previously shut down your voice? So we're going to play in the playground of possibilities.
Yay!
With Matt and Fiona.
Yay!
That was me, by the way, not Fiona going yay, because
yeah, that's falsetto. Yeah, we get it.
And express ourselves to the world. So Fiona, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
I'm just going to launch straight in, and then I want to come back to kind of where you've come from. What does for you expressing your voice to the world? What does that mean?
Yeah, for me, it's about being me no matter what's going on around me, just daring to be me. And you brought in that child energy. And it's like that. So I think we can be told as a child, shut up, turn it down, you're too much. And we learn that kind of turning it down, we're too much. And what if we can choose to relearn that just yumminess of being in the moment, of expressing what we want, whatever that is. And what if we can just be ourselves no matter what's going on around us?
Wow.
Yeah, that's just awesome stuff. That really is.
And really scary for some people, I would imagine.
Yeah, interesting, that fear word. So we were just chatting on Facebook before this. And I can feel in my body now, there's like, I was just saying, we were talking about multitasking before we were online, and you were texting, and Alun was putting a picture up. And I was moving. It's like I'm kneeling down, but I'm moving my body. I'm sort of dancing as I'm kneeling. And it's like that kind of energy in my body. We can often think it's fear. And when we think it's fear, we go into that, oh, I can't speak, I don't know what to say. And what I've learned with access consciousness is, what if it's not fear? What if it's excitement? What if what we really, really want is to be heard, to be seen? And what is that kind of energy in our body? Is that excitement about finally we can be heard, we can be seen again?
My body's going, yay!
Yes, exactly. Hooray! Yes, hooray! Thank goodness. Yes.
Because I think that for me, that's really true. You know, I remember as a child, kind of that fear didn't come from me, but also for some of the stuff that I experienced as a child, I was really. I mean, no one can make you feel anything, but as a child, it kind of made me feel like I was being made to feel. You know, I was made to feel ashamed of how I was expressing my voice with the world, because it wasn't what other people expected it or wanted it to be, or it was a louder voice than theirs. Do you know what I mean? So we do just shut ourselves down.
I'm not even sure you're talking about being a child. I'm like thinking, actually, even as an adult, it's like I'm regularly told that I'm too much.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. And it's funny because sometimes it's like, you know, when you choose to contract and you're like, okay. And then other times I'm like, too bad. Like, but for me then it's about looking at actually what is required in the situation, because it's not just. And so actually, Fiona, I have a question. It's like, so there's a subtle difference for me around kind of like, there's something about not, you know, so not. Okay, well, I get the question out. So the question,
find your voice.
I get the energy.
Find your voice.
Yeah.
So basically, the question is, it's like that whole thing around sort of like being me, but actually being aware of what's required in the situation. And so it's like being me is many things rather than just one version, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we all know that situation where we're being us and then somebody disapproves, either energetically or they tell us something, so it's sort of more than energetic, it's actually out there in words. And we then have a choice, so we can choose to carry on being ourselves, or we can tone ourselves down. And that's one thing. And then I think there can be another situation where it's like we have an awareness that actually being the fullness of us isn't what the other person can receive, and it's not a kindness to the other person or to the situation. And it's like, it's really about being in with ourselves and asking the question, truth, what would contribute the most here? And just being honest with ourselves. Am I turning myself down because this is too much for me, in which case that's a contracted energy, or am I being kind? Is this what's appropriate to what's going on around me? And we'll know, we can tune into the energy and just know what's true.
And that's really interesting that you're saying that, because it's taken us so much longer to actually explain it than it would for anyone to kind of like get it in the moment, because, you know, often it's like you ask what's required or what contribution can I be, and then you just naturally be it. And I don't know about it for you, but as my head gets in the way, I'm like, it's not going to work out so well then.
Yeah, it's true. It took me however long, a minute or a minute and a half, to explain that. And as always with energy, actually it's in the moment. And it's like mostly it's just, okay, what am I choosing now? What am I choosing now? That just awareness of what's light, and it can be so quick, like you don't have to go into the head trip around what am I choosing now, and the thoughts about it. It can be very immediate.
What do you mean head trips aren't fun?
Head trips aren't fun. Head trips can be great fun.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
One thing I wanted to say about the, sometimes we can misapply what kindness is. So, when we're being a bit of a superior arsehole in, toning ourselves down because we don't want people to feel bad about themselves. Yeah. And and I know that I've done that in the past myself, which is, oh, I better tone that down because I don't want them to feel stupid. I don't want, and we make all sorts of assumptions.
Yeah.
So it is just being careful is the wrong word, because it's not that there is no wrong word. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Fiona, I'd just like to ask you, it's like I'm curious. Can you share with ourselves and our listeners just a little bit of your story, and it's like how you come to be here having this conversation with?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I was going to say in another life, I was an accountant.
Wow.
You're talking about head tripping, spent all my time in my head. I was also very academic. I have been academic, and I kind of valued that and did all of that, and overworked, and ended up actually with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I was actually ill for about 7 years, had a really, really limited life, not going out of the house much. And it was when I found energy healing that I started to get way better. And then, since then, Access Consciousness has just expanded my life beyond belief. But in terms of the voice, I believed that I couldn't sing. And I was saying to Alun earlier as well, it's not just about the voice. Right Voice for You is also about the body and how we contract our body and don't, limit our body and limit our flexibility and expression in the body. And it was very difficult for me to express myself either with my voice or with my body. And all of that led to illness, I think. And so part of the unraveling of the illness was finding my voice again. And in a way, incidentally, I found that I could sing. I found that I could dance. I love to sing. I love to dance. But it's about way more than that. It was about unlocking all of the energy that was held in sort of keeping my voice down and keeping my body rigid. And as that kind of unraveled, so I became more well. And now I'm working with individuals and using mainly Access Consciousness. And loving using the Right Voice for You tools.
And that's really interesting, and thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that with us there, Fiona. But when I was listening to you, what jumped to my head was, our energy will go somewhere. So you were saying about, it's like that when you weren't expressing your voice and kind of like actually your energy then started to create this ill health.
Yes. Yes. And it's funny, now it's kind of feels sort of obvious to me that it can create ill health. But I think at the time I had no idea. For me, it was like one day I was really well, the next day I couldn't do anything. And I wouldn't have got it at the time that it was to do with not expressing myself, not being me. But as I began to learn more about, well, in a way what it is to be human, it became clearer that not expressing myself was leading to the imbalance and the ill health. And the pain, actually. I wasn't enjoying my life.
And that's really interesting as well, because often it's like, in this reality, it's like ill health, isn't it, something that happens to us?
Yes.
Rather than something that we create. And actually that would be a really contentious thing to say to many people.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know something? Yeah, something that came to me from that, as you were saying it, was, the more I kind of contained myself and didn't express myself, the more kind of it kind of made you ill. And how often are we actually taught it's the other way around? That if you don't contain yourself, you're actually going to cause yourself harm.
Yes.
Because you're putting yourself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like we get told everything is the opposite of what it. Everything's the opposite of what it appears to be.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So I'm thinking if anyone's listening, they've got some health stuff going on, and this is a kind of like a really different point of view. I just want to say this: everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And on that note, I'm thinking let's go to a break and continue the conversation when we come back after the break.
Surely. See you all soon.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the Playground of Possibilities, where myself and Alun are talking to the lovely Fiona Cutts, who's an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, who does right voice for you, amongst other stuff. And before we were talking about the impact that kind of like not expressing our energy can have in our health. And Fiona, I just wondered for you, it's like, so what started to shift for you? You're saying that, you know, initially it's like you wouldn't have got the thing about not expressing yourself was contributing to your health. So what started to shift for you?
Okay, I'm just laughing as you say that, because at the time it started to shift, I was actually at the School of Energy Healing, and we had a sound healing week. And during that week, I literally screamed and shouted and made so much noise. And it's like the two people, there were two, it was my friend, we were roommates, because we were paired together, because we had similar energy, I guess. And we were kind of the quiet ones, and we were not quiet that week. It was completely mad. And I just realized all this stuff about I'm quiet, I'm shy, it's not the truth. It was never the truth. It's what I'd become. It's like what I'd learned to become, and I guess I did a very good job of it. And it was during the sound healing week actually that I actually dared to sing. We had a sort of a talent night, and I sung in front of maybe 30 people, and of course it was a really lovely audience, so that was unimaginable for me. And then 2 years later I sang at the graduation in front of about 100 people, and so I guess it's like, I suppose your question was how did it become clear? I suppose through experiencing the tools of, first of all, energy healing and then access consciousness. And what I noticed more and more with access consciousness is that as I step into more in terms of facilitation, more in terms of what I choose for my life, although there may be that moment of, actually, it's what I want. I want more. And for me, it is about the voice. It's the voice that kind of is the gateway to more.
The voice is a gateway. I like that.
Yeah, that's a really... Yeah, your voice is a gateway. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it has so much kind of really yummy energy on that. And, And while we're talking about this whole your voice is your gateway, because I'm I'm in love with that.
I'm like,
isn't it? I could just
and I totally don't know where that came from.
Yeah,
it just came out of my mouth.
I think we should just say that for the rest of the show. Your voice is your gateway. And
your voice is your gateway.
Over and again.
We could sing it. We could sing it to different tunes.
We could sing it, yeah.
Your voice is your gateway. Yeah. So anyway, moving through.
I said Joe.
We did say sing it, not croquet. So, Fiona, when it comes to your voice being your gateway, it doesn't. My understanding is it doesn't have to be just about singing. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. So I suppose Right Voice for You started off as for actors and performers. It was very much about speaking voice, singing voice. And what became clear was that it's actually about way more than that. And so in these classes, we will look at changing our singing voice, changing our speaking voice, daring to express ourselves more. And so it is about the voice and being on stage. But actually what happens is that our whole life changes. And really, in the time I've been doing Access Conscious and in the time I've been doing Right Voice for You classes particularly, which is the last 9 months or so, my life just continues to expand and expand and expand. And actually talking about the voice as the gateway, I mean, when that came out of my mouth, I had no idea that was going to come out of my mouth. And that happens more and more, that I'm just able to speak and say what's needed. And that expands things in my life.
It's
wow,
awesome.
So actually it's been the energy from, it sounds like a space of trust in you.
Mm.
Yes. And it's not, I mean, I know you two know this, but it's not a doing, it's a being. It's, like you say, it's that place of trust. And, I remember, I cringe to say this, but I remember I used to work in the Red Cross in India, and I had sort of quite a responsible accounting job. And every 6 months we had these meetings in different countries, and I had to give these presentations. I hated giving the presentations. And it was like all the people I knew who were like friends, I'd be sort of chatting to them before the presentation, and then as soon as I came into doing the presentation, I'd be sort of stiff and not me and hiding and shaking and I've lost where I'm going with this. I don't know why I started to say that.
For me, Fiona, what's really funny is that Laura and I have really found that with the radio show. The first couple we did, a reasonable amount of preparation before each show, and now...
In fact, we almost had the radio show before the show.
That's exactly what happened.
That's where I was going. The preparing doesn't...
Preparing doesn't always... it's like it's asking questions about what's actually required. And what we've found with our radio show is that we have a basic structure that we follow just to kind of help, but then we just follow the energy. We do think about questions ourselves, but we don't share them with each other, because that way the energy stays fresh as we go throughout. And it is about trusting the energy that we be and just being the energy of the radio show, which may sound really, really weird, but it's like this is the playground of possibilities, and the whole idea for us is just to play, and if it comes out arse upwards, then that's the way it should be.
And actually, let me just say something about that, because I was just thinking, there's me kind of on air, sort of launching into something, and I was like, oh, why did I say that? And Right Voice is very much about this as well. It's like coming out of judgment. And we talk about, what if you could be on stage and mess up? What if that didn't matter? What if we could be on this radio show and completely mess up? And what if the only thing that really matters is that we're having fun and not judging ourselves?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to fuck up.
And how different is that, from what we're told? It's way different from what we're told. And just going back to me in those presentations in India, it's like I was so scared of getting it wrong. I was so rigid that there was no space for me to be me. I was just too trying to get it right.
And that is true, isn't it? We're always, or we're taught to always get it right. And what is right? When you're being you. Yeah, I mean, that for me would be another one of those access consciousness tools, like the everything is the opposite of what it appears to be that you mentioned earlier, Laura. For me, it would be, interesting point of view, I have this point of view that I have to be right, or interesting point of view, I have this point of view that I'm not right. Because what is right? And if you're having fun and you're sharing your uniqueness with the world, because that's like saying, okay, so anyone who doesn't learn in the same way everybody else learns, because we all learn differently, whether we have what in this reality is diagnosed as learning difficulties, which really pisses me off, because I don't think it's difficulty, it's just a different way of doing it. But, there is a right way of learning, and, so, which is why I quite like, Fiona, the whole right voice for you concept.
Yeah. So how do you work with people? Talk to us about how you work with people.
Yeah, so you just talked about the energy of the radio show and following the energy, and I'll start with that. So every class is different, and in every class it will just be about following the energy. And often in a right view class there will be some playing on the stage, so people will be invited to come on stage and to sing, to talk, and I can facilitate them, empower them to be more of them on the stage. And the great thing about being facilitated in front of other people is that it intensifies everything. And probably we've all heard that thing about public speaking is the most terrifying thing. So often at the beginning of the class, you might ask people, what do you feel about being on the stage? And the answers can vary from absolute terror, people almost hiding in the aisles and not wanting to be seen, to people who actually love being on the stage. People want to be seen, people adore being seen. And that can also be a judgment. It's like if we love being on the stage, and we can sometimes have a persona on the stage. So it's about playing with all of those different energies as well. The people who love it, the people who hate it. What if those are just points of view? What if we can just be us on the stage and in our lives?
That's fascinating, because what was coming up for me as you were talking there, Fiona, was I as a child, I think I actually did enjoy being not the centre of attention, but I liked being on this kind of in public, but was kind of made wrong for it. So I kind of told myself that I really didn't, and then was told, oh well, you're shy, you can't really do it. So then lied to myself that I didn't want to get up there. But that was coming up for me. But what you were saying there about, the whole everything is the opposite of what it appears to be again, is those people who love being on the stage, they can be somebody else other than who they really are.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we definitely play with that in most classes. And other than that, we often somehow go back to those places where we've stuck ourselves, those places where we've told we're too much, those places where we decide we're too much and we tear ourselves down. And sometimes people will talk about their story, about their dad who criticised them, or their mum who's this, or whatever it is. And often we don't even have to go into the story. Often it can be as simple as being in that energy and releasing it. And we talk in Right Voice for You a lot about choosing. And one question that we often ask on stage is, what would it take to choose the energy of confidence? So whatever experience we've had of being on the stage, whatever we've been told about ourselves, about our voice, what if none of that matters? What if we can just be on stage and choose that voice of confidence?
Nice.
That's a nice question.
Yes.
So, we're going to be heading to break in about 2 minutes, I think. But, can you hear my clock gonging behind me?
Yeah.
So bright, shiny. So, Fiona, you, I think, may have a little kind of play toy exercise for us to do. Is that right?
Yeah. Play with us.
So actually, I was going to bring that in. What would it take to choose the energy of confidence? And in terms of having difficult conversations with people, what would it take to find the words that this person can hear? Those are questions I ask before I talk to people. What would it take to find the words that really meet this person? And then we can relax and just not think about it. So that's kind of a tool for being on stage and for everyday life when we're talking to people.
Oh, I like that one. That's really pertinent for me right now.
Well, we can pick up on that. Well, why don't we talk about that after the break, Laura? We can then question you and make you feel really uncomfortable, because that's what we're good at. And and I want my opportunity to sing The Hills Are Alive. It's going to happen before
you will
the radio
get it.
show is over. So we're going to head to break now, and we'll be back shortly after that to play with Laura. See you soon.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
No, is it me? It's me. Hello.
Yes, it's you.
Distraction. See, Fiona, I'm more than happy to fuck up on our radio show. Welcome back, everybody, to the Playground of Possibilities. And The Hills Are Alive. No, didn't quite do it. But anyway, we were talking about Laura. So, back to you, Laura.
Oh, were we?
You feel uncomfortable. Oh, don't you remember?
Was that not another show? No.
No, that was the spotlight on Ms. Borland. Are you going to bore us, Borland?
Oh, that's funny. I'll do my best.
That's the show. Professional or professional.
Let's focus. Let's not have private conversations in our radio show. It's not interesting for anyone else but us.
Well, if they'd listened to previous shows, they would know that's an in-joke.
Ah, really? Anyway.
Yeah, do you not? Anyway.
Moving.
Where are we? Where were we at? Didn't Fiona ask a question that was relevant for you right now? Where were we at with that?
Yeah, so the question was, what would it take to find the words that really, and then I didn't hear the rest of the question.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
So I ask this question before classes, before I speak to somebody, and then I don't think about it. So what would it take to find the words that this person can hear, or for this show, what would it take to find the words that people desire to hear on this show? And then I just forget about it, and I just, it's like I open my mouth and stuff comes out. And as I said, that thing about the voice being a gateway. I've never thought that before. I don't know where that came from. But it somehow allows what is true for me to come.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like without betraying kind of like information that's not mine to share. I'm doing some work with some people just now, and that's just a really kind of like pertinent question for me, because there's lots kind of what some people could call delicate, tricky conversations to have, and I often can just, actually that's not true, I can be diplomatic some of the time, not all of the time, and I really like that question because, and actually I wonder if I've been being that energy without even asking that question.
Yeah. So let's just ask you, Truth, have you been being that energy? Truth, are you that energy or are you?
You know what? Absolutely, yes. You're laughing. You're laughing because you can. It's that big fat yes.
Yeah.
And I just think I had acknowledged that. So thank you for that, because I'm really grateful. And that's a real kind of like contribution. Because I guess it's like something that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm just acknowledging it for the first time ever. It's like that actually part of what I'm getting paid to be me and the energy that I be, rather than what I do.
Yeah.
And how often does it, when we be the energy rather than trying to do it, does life become so much easier?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was doing a video today, actually about kind of whole being stuff today. It was, I did a video from Greenwich Park, which is inviting people to be the question rather than to do it. And so, what would it take for people who are listening to be their voice, however that is, whatever that kind of turns out to be for them, rather than trying to do their voice?
And I just want to share there, Alun, just that when you said do the question, it's like that energy is so uncomfortable and jarring. We can't, how can we do the question? And yet I know for a lot of us in Access, when we hear about questions, it's like, oh wow, the question. And we are often doing and forcing the question, and it's that thing of the sentence with the question mark at the end of it. And I love that. What would it take for us to be the question?
So how would you describe it to somebody who'd never heard of Access?
How would I describe Access consciousness?
No. How would you describe that whole thing of being the question to somebody? Because we touched on this a little bit in our radio show that we did this week, and so I'm just really curious. It's like, because that's something, it's fairly simple words, but they can feel quite, and certainly they were very inaccessible for me for a long time, and I'm just really curious about kind of like, for you, how would you kind of like explain that to somebody who'd never heard of Access?
Yeah, and so I'm going to pick up on the word that you say there, curious. So it's about an attitude in a way. It's like being curious to life, not being in conclusion. You know how we can go around thinking, oh, this is like this because it's always been like this. And it's more that sort of open-ended curiosity. And when we ask a question, it's not about getting an answer, it's about having an awareness. So sometimes we can ask, I don't know, a good example is, what would it take to have more fun today than any other day? And we start to have fun, and then we can conclude, oh, I've had my answer, I'm having fun. And it's like, no, what if we can continue to be a question? What if I can have more fun? What if fun can show up in different ways? So it's just about continually being in that expansive place of exploration. And also about not thinking that we've got it right. I think that can be something that can happen in our life, but can particularly happen with Access consciousness. We can be doing it for a while. We can be asking questions and we can think, oh, okay, I've got it right now. I know how I'm doing here. And as soon as we think that, we've lost something. We've lost some spaciousness. We've lost some expansion and possibility.
So how does that sit with kind of what you've just said, right? And then, then the class is called Right Voice for You.
Okay. So,
sorry, I mean, I'm just
great.
asking, forgive me if that's a mean question.
No, I've got some sort of vague memory of either Blossom Benedict or Gary Douglas who I've been in classes with. Something about these right voice for you, right body for you, they are appealing to people's sort of judgments, that thought, oh, there is a right way of my body being, there's a right way of my voice being. And actually it's almost like that sort of draws people in, and it's actually that's not what it's about. It's almost, I guess it's that thing, is everything's the opposite of what it appears to be, nothing's the opposite of what it appears to be. So that's my sense of it. I mean, do you have any awareness on that, Alun?
No, because I've just gone completely blank. So let me, But everything, yes.
So what I was going to say is actually, because for me, what's right in inverted commas can change from moment to moment. Because actually, it's like there's no right. Because actually, what works today might not work tomorrow, might not work next week, might work again in 3 years' time. And so it's about that. I liked what you said, Fiona, when you were saying it's like it's, from when people are doing it from a space of judgment, right signifies or symbolises one, and actually right voice for you can be many.
I would totally agree with you there, Laura. And what I would also say about that is you're saying, what might be right for me today may not be the same right for me tomorrow. I would, there's something I remember watching Wayne Dyer doing a video, and he was saying, what works for you in the morning may not work for you in the afternoon. I think, energy and space and consciousness move so quickly that what's right for you in this hour, and in Access Consciousness they talk about creating in 10-second increments and choosing in 10-second increments, because even 1 second, what may be right for you 1 second, and everything changes so quickly and dynamically that in 10 seconds time you could choose something completely different. So when you're in that space of using your voice and being your voice, to share that with whoever you're being with, it's always, I think, as you were saying, Fiona, is always being in the question of what voice can I be right now? What voice can I, and in this 10 seconds, what voice can I be in this 10 seconds? And what voice can I be in this 10 seconds? And just being the energy of that and getting into the habit of doing it.
Absolutely. And that thing about having no point of view.
Yes.
Because there's one thing to kind of like almost to choose to not use your voice with conscious awareness, than actually just to unconsciously always be choosing to not use your voice.
Oh my God, you just throw me, I didn't even hear that. Laura, can you say that again?
Maybe. I almost gave myself a bit of a wedgie. So what I said was, I think what I said was, for anyone who heard it, I think what I said was that it's one thing to not use your voice it's one thing to not use your voice with conscious awareness, i.e. you choose to not use it, because that's the greatest contribution. It's a completely different thing to not use your voice from unconscious.
Right, so you don't speak up because you're not being conscious about what's actually required. Yeah, okay.
So you're not even choosing it, it's just that's your default, that's what you do because of the judgment, because of whatever is out there, and so you just, you contract without even noticing that you're contracting.
Yes.
Awesome. That's so everything that brings up for everyone. Do you want to just kind of let that go? And because we've got Fiona on, Fiona, do you want to do the weird speak of the access clearing statement?
Yes, I'd love to do that.
Because you're allowed.
I'm allowed. So let me enjoy it. So, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all of mine, short stories and beyond.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. For anyone who has... I know. Can you feel that clearing?
Can we sing a song till we find our brains?
Anyone who's listening to the show who wonders what the hell we're talking about there, that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement that we don't normally use, but because we've got a facilitator on, we can. And so if you want to hear more about it or find out more about it, go to www.theclearingstatement.com. But thank you, Fiona, for that, because that was... Let's go into break! Let's go into break!
It makes me laugh that I'm allowed to share it, but I enjoyed it, and it's changed from energy, so how's it getting better than that?
Absolutely. See, your voice has helped to clear stuff, so how does it get better than that?
Yeah.
So So when we come back for break, what would be really great is if we maybe began to give people some tools that they could play with. And also, Fiona, if you could tell us about some classes that you have coming up and how people can find out more about you if they would like to choose to work with you. How does that sound?
Yes, that sounds great. Magic.
Bree, take us to break while we find our brains.
Were you told as a child to grow up, act your age, and stop being childish? And were you made to feel wrong for choosing to have fun? Is that still the same for you now that you're an adult? Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you created it with more fun, more ease, and in the knowledge that far more choices and possibilities are always available to you? Tune in to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones, who have fun playing with tools, techniques, and ideas that will inspire you to create more fun, more possibilities, and more magic in your life. Do you want to play? Listen for the Playground of Possibilities radio show every Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A2Zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. To participate in the program today, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 4433-0001-0625. Or Skype us at A2Zen.fm. You can also email us questions or comments by sending emails to playgroundofpossibilities@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Hi and welcome back to the Playground of Possibilities with myself, Laura, my lovely playmate Alun, and our lovely guest Fiona. And just before we dive back in, I wanted to say this is a pre-record, so don't call any of these numbers because it won't happen for you.
There'll be nobody on the end of the phone.
Yeah, exactly. But it's if you're listening to the show and you have some comments, it's like feel free to you can find us on Facebook, and it's Life with Play. So as we kind of our last part of the show is just something that came. It's a phrase that you had said earlier, Fiona, was about daring to express ourselves more, and I just wanted to throw out a bit of a gauntlet. A gauntlet, is that the right word? A challenge.
I think so, yeah. Challenge, yes.
So what would we be or do different if we were daring to express ourselves more, I wonder?
Ooh, nice.
Who wants to play?
Okay. So this work is about energy, and we all feel the energy that comes with that question. So to me, it's like there's a kind of a deliciousness in my body, that kind of, what would it be like? So what would this planet be like if more and more of us were just daring to be us, without those barriers, without that separation?
Oh, my body likes that.
Yeah. That just opens up so much space, doesn't it?
Yeah. And, this journey to more consciousness, and for me, it's the right voice for you that has accelerated that. It's like we don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know what it's going to be like as more of us choose more, as more of us choose to be more us. And it's like, for me, it's like those little in the moment choices that we make. You know, that choice to expand rather than contract. That choice to say something that can contribute to somebody else. That choice just to tell someone, actually, I really value you. You really contribute to my life. I mean, how much do we do that in this reality? Not so much.
No.
And it's like just those choices can bring in so much more yumminess and expansion. And if way more of us were choosing that, what would this planet be like? And actually, I mean, I get an energy as I say that. What would this planet be like? That expansion, that yumminess. But we don't know. This is like a journey that we're all embarking on. We don't know what it's going to be like.
Bree, are we doing some short program tonight? How can there only be 5 minutes left?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the right clock, Bree?
Nora, you're I don't have to say this to you because I know it's very badly behaved to me. Your voice cut out there, and so the L was missing in that word. And so you said, "Hey Bree, are you looking at the wrong cock?" Anyway.
Oh, that's really interesting. So we have. So I'm just okay. Focus. Let's not a comedy show. Just thinking. As we've got like 4 and a bit minutes left. It's like and it's counting. Oh God, it's counting. And I'm just, Fiona, in terms of like, so really quickly, can you give some people some tools that they can begin to play with to explore this for a little bit more, and also tell us about your classes and do it all really fast, please.
So just quickly, sort of building on that energy of we don't know what it's going to be like, but what we can do is, we can ask these questions, these expansive questions. What would it take to do more? What would it take to be more with my voice every day? What would it take, you were saying about the daring, what would it take to dare to say those things that I haven't dared to say before? What would it take for more of me to show up today than ever before? All of those questions can just invite in more of us with our voice, with our body.
Fiona, those are just awesome. And I think, for me, one of the biggest ones was, what would it take for more of me to show up today? I think that's what you said. So while you're here, and we're allowing those questions just to filter through to everyone who's listening. So do keep replaying it if you didn't quite hear them, or message us, because we can always message you the questions that Fiona's just asked. But Fiona, when's your next Right Voice for You class?
Yeah, so coming up in London on Saturday, December the 20th, so just before the solstice in central London.
Awesome. And where can they find details of that class?
So if you go to rightvoiceforyou.com, then you can see the class listed there under my listing. So rightvoiceforyou.com.
Awesome. So before we kind of finish off and go to the music, what's the one last thing that perhaps you would say to people about being their voice, Fiona?
Okay, I've got another question, and in fact it's sort of a two-part question, or two things in different ways. So if your voice matters, are you willing to know that your voice matters in the world?
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the energy that comes in with that, because I think it can be so easy to think, oh, this stuff applies to other people. Other people have a voice, but not me. I'm quiet, I'm shy, I don't have anything to say. And what if, no, none of that is true? What if everyone's voice matters in the world? What if your voice matters in the world?
Yeah. That's an awesome... Fiona, thank you so much for being the most amazingly awesome guest and for just creating magic with us. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
Thanks so much, Fiona. And next week we're talking about being nosy or curious. So until then, we will see you next week. And I didn't get to sing The Hills Are Alive, so I'll get back to you next week. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Playground of Possibilities radio show with Laura Borland and Alun Jones. We hope you enjoyed playing with us today, and that you'll come play with us next Monday at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 7 a.m. Pacific on A to Zen.fm. Until then, what would it take for you to enjoy playing with choices and possibilities to create more fun, more magic, and more of everything you